everybody, and welcome to another edition of Spindle TV. How are you doing this evening? My name is Laney Shaughnessy. I'll be your host for the evening. Thanks for joining me. Let me make sure I got everything showing here. All right. There we go. Okay. So tonight we're going to be visiting one of the Vectric V-Carve Desktop Pro or Aspire tools. It's going to be the Distort tool we're going to talk about tonight. It's one of those tools that doesn't get, a lot of attention. It doesn't get a lot of use, from time to time. Typically, when we're working with text and objects and things, we're generally arcing our text, or, adding a little bit of a curve to it. But beyond that, we really, in some cases, a lot of us are not really utilizing the Distort tool to distort text or objects. And I just want to take some time this evening, introduce the tool to you, and show you some of the things that you could do with it to kind of give you an idea, maybe open up some ideas for you for future projects and stuff. And again, we're not always making, sign projects and all. They can, we're making parts, we're making, other production type items and things like that. But, our root for the most part is, making signs for, events or people or companies or what have you. And so if we can add a little bit of character or give a little bit of life to our projects, kind of take it from the norm and add a little pizzazz to it, hey, why not? So I'm looking forward to kind of showing you this tool and some of the things that we can, that we could do with it. All right, so let's start off by getting over onto the computer screen where we're going to be working. And I'm going to be working in Aspire version 12, but everything I'm doing tonight applies to Desktop Pro or Aspire. So everything I'm doing can be done in any of the programs. Okay. Now that I've wet my whistle, here we go. Let's go in. How do you like that invisible bottle? There we go. Let's switch over to camera 2. And let's get me down in the bottom here. All right, let me adjust my background to see if I can get rid of that dark spot. Let's see what we got. Do that. Awesome. Okay. And let me turn on my mouse highlighter. Wonderful. All right. There we go. So you should be able to see my mouse now. Now, to start off with, we're going to just introduce the Distort tool to you. Now, the Distort tool is located in the Transform Objects menu. It is the second to last icon in that menu. And when we are distorting, we can distort text, vectors, objects, shapes, whatever it may be, anything. We can distort anything. It's not just one thing or another. When we are distorting, it's basically like putting that object inside of an envelope. And that envelope could be just the shape of a square rectangle bounding box. It could consist of a single line that we might have, created a wave or something. Or we could distort between two particular lines or curves and things. When we have an object, let's say, for example, we come in here and I'll just use the word welcome as an example here. When we go through and distort an object, If I choose to put it in a bounding box, basically what happens is it converts that. In this case, it's this font. It's no longer a vector, or I'm sorry, it's no longer a font at this point. It's now a vector. So it's converted it to curves, if you will, but it has stuffed it inside this box, this envelope. And however I twist or pull or turn the envelope, whatever it is that I may do to that envelope, it's going to do to the object that's inside of it. Now, if I have to, let's say that I need to do some node editing on this, or I need to do some trimming and things, when an object is distorted, whether it's text or a shape or something like that, it is still inside that envelope. And if we were to go into node editing mode and I were to select this object, I am still in this envelope. And so when I'm node editing the envelope. Now, if I need to get it out of that envelope, then I am going to right click on the object. Let's hit the select menu here. I'm going to right click on the object and I'm going to switch it to convert to curves. And that will break it out of the envelope. And then I can work with the individual items independently, depending on, what it is that, I may want to do and things, right? So when you distort something, it's always going to be in that envelope between those two lines, on that single line, or in that box, that bounding box, until we take it out of that envelope. If the now that I've broken it out of the envelope and everything, if I were to go back to the distort tool and everything, it's now in a new box. That box is no longer shaped the way that it was with the curve of the Bezier and things like that. So I would basically be, making something new, right? If I had broken it out of that curve to begin with. So that's what you keep in mind. Now, where can this be useful to us and things, and what can it do for us and how can it help us? As a initial sample, let's say that I have an object, and you probably saw this object in the thumbnail, but let's say I have an object like this saxophone here, right? And I'm making a logo for a jazz club or whatever the case may be, or something. I could simply have the saxophone in here. I could throw in some text on this, background. Let's say that, this is Stevie's. Let's see here, Stevie's. Let me learn how to type. Jazz Palace. And, I could, and of course, this is elementary right now, what we're doing here. But, let's say I have a sign laid out and everything, but I want to add a little bit more something to it. Well, I could take some text. Let's say they have a tagline that would normally be at the bottom of the sign. Let's go, let the music play on. And on that tagline, I could use a decorative font. I could do, whatever the case may be. But let's say that for right now that this was my poster and all. And it's very bland, very blah. There's no character to it whatsoever. We could add character by adding borders to it. We could add character by changing up the fonts and distorting the text a little bit. We could just give it a little bit of playfulness and things. So let's say on this saxophone here, I decide to come in and I'm going to ungroup the vectors here. I'm going to come in and I'll delete this vector here. And on this vector, I'm going to go into node editing and I'm going to delete this span, kind of opening up the vector here. And I'm actually going to come in and delete this span also. Over here, this little hook, I'll come in and get rid of that, delete that span. So I have this opening here, and I'm going to do the same thing down here. So down here, I'll delete this span and this one. I'll get rid of that line there. And then I'm going to take these two objects here, and I'm going to join them with a straight line. Basically, I'm closing off that vector in there. And in here, let's say that I take these two circles out, and I need two lines in this case. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to get rid of the end line of this closed vector. So we'll delete that span. And at the very top up here, I'm going to delete this one as well. So basically, I have two paths, two lines. And so now I could do something along the lines of, let the music play. We'll move that over there for just a second. Let's take the saxophone here. I'm going to move it down and over. Right about there. We'll change up this text in just a minute. But I'm going to take this tagline and I'm going to come in and I got one more span before I take that tagline. Let's go back into node editing and let's get rid of that. There we go. Okay, I need two clean lines there. Very good. If I come into my distort tool, I can choose the text or the object that I want to distort. In this case, it's the text. And then I can choose the two lines. I'm going to choose between two curves is how I'm going to distort this. So I'm going to select my two lines, holding that shift key down. And then I'm going to choose the option to distort between two lines. Now you'll notice in the little tool over here, I've got my first line says the selected vector is valid. My font is valid. The top edge curve is okay. The bottom edge curve is okay. So it's given me a thumbs up that the vector I have selected that I want to distort is fine, and the two curves that I want to go between. So that box is, I got a little green check mark, and I'm good to go. So I can click apply, and then it's going to wrap that text to follow that curve, right? And then I could come in and let's say that I close out of this tool for a moment. I've got another object that I want to bring in, which is kind of some music notes. So it has a little bit of action, like there's something actually coming out of this saxophone. Let's take our text here and let's right click on this text and break the text block that I created, those three lines, into individual lines. And let's take Stevie's here and let's switch up the font a little bit. Let's take Stevie's. And let's come in here. Let's take the, give me just a second. Let's Give me just a quick second. What I'm looking for is a nice, clean note, music note, music note. All right. Let's see here. Note, N-O-T-E. Let's import another image in here. Let's open up our trace bitmap tool. I'm going to go 75, 82 on the default corner fit. Noise filter, I'll turn up to a 3. I'm going to click on apply or preview, apply, and close. Now I'm going to go in and on this music note, I'm going to ungroup this. Let's do a little bit of cleanup on it really quickly. Node editing. Going to delete this point. I'm going to smooth this point. Let's come down here. Let's go into node editing again. Let's cut the vector here and here. Work with me. All right, let's close that up with a nice smooth curve. And let's say that on Stevie's here, let's say I come in and we'll get rid of the S. Bring that in. All right, now we're going to take Jazz Palace and make it one word or one line, should I say. Let me get rid of the capital letters here. Palace. Let me learn how to type tonight. I don't know why I can't type tonight. Let's go with a, let's see. Let me find. All right, we can get rid of that. And then, you know, we could add more to this, right? I don't want to spend all night drawing a, you know, a sign or what have you, but we could add a bunch to this. But we could kind of take and let's close this tool. Let's see. Let's take all of this and center it. Could probably put a decorative border around it and that kind of thing. So, you know, we could take and just be a little bit more creative. So the tagline, let the music play on, is actually inside the saxophone. Music's coming out of the saxophone. We've, you know, taken the name of the club and we've changed the S, give it a little music note to kind of just a little play on that. But, you know, we could use distortion in that way to kind of, you know, lay something out. So that's one variation and stuff. So now let's take a look at, let's go with another sheet and let's make this a, let's make this sheet 24 inches long, 9.5 inches wide, 3/4 inches thick. And let's say that I want to let's go welcome to our home. Let's go with a nice broad kind of font. I'm going to go ahead and center it on the material, scale it up. All right, now I want to take and I'd like to put something underneath here. Could be a house number, could be an address, it could be, you know, another little saying, it could be whatever it may be, right? But I want to kind of tuck it in under this. I want welcome to our home to be the main attraction and stuff. So I could use the distort tool and I could distort, putting it in a bounding box. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'll take the top two nodes, that whole line, those top two nodes, and I'm just going to select them and I'll use the up arrow key and I'm just going to stretch the text to begin with. So I'm going to kind of bring it up and give it a little bit of stretched height. Now here underneath, I want to come in and I'll use a guideline to help me out with this. Now I'm going to close the distort tool for a moment. I'll show you what we do when we come back into it, but I'm going to bring over a guideline to the edge here. And I'm going to create a parallel guide relative to its position about 1 inch in. And then the same thing on the other end, I'm going to take and snap to kind of the end of my text here. Let's actually pull it out just a little bit further. And then I'm going to create a relative guide -1 inch in. And what this position, this 1 inch position, is going to give me a place to add a couple of points. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go back into the distort tool. Now the distort tool, it's still in the down here. Now we're in this box down below on the left. We're in the transform object area, and what I actually want to do is I want to edit the current envelope. Okay. So when I do that, then my points are back and everything here, and I can continue to manipulate or distort this and all. And what I'd like to do is on this 1 inch mark, I'd like to insert a point there. And on this 1 inch mark, I'd like to insert a point there. Actually, let me just drag that over just a little bit. And then in between, so the vector line, this dotted line here between those 2 points, I want to go ahead and make that an arc. And on that arc, I don't want it arcing down. By default, it's going to go in one direction or the other and everything. So just pull the arc back up. But all I want is a nice subtle arc under here. So basically the top of my text is straight across. So there's no, I didn't arc the whole text. You know, I didn't just put a curve to the text. So the text across the top is straight across. We're straight across on the bottom and everything. And then just from there, it kind of just starts to arc in. And now in this opening area here, you know, I could come in and I'll take a small rectangle that's going to represent like a V groove line coming across. And then we'll come in and I'll just put in our door is always open. In today's day and age, that's not true anymore, but hey, what the heck, we'll give it, we'll be optimistic that we live in a good place. So you don't have to lock the doors. All right, let's go ahead and size that up just a little bit. I actually don't think anybody in the real world would ever advertise our doors always on their home. Let's see. Let's go to the alignment tool. Let's align that left to right. And this is just a small little catchphrase or what have you. Let's kind of bring it right about there. And then let's go in and we'll go the, and then Anderson's, right? Anderson's. Now on the Anderson's, I wrote that as a text block, but I'm going to right click and I'm going to take that text and break it into 2 lines, because the word the, I'll go ahead and keep that at its current size, and I'm just going to move that just under that line here. Anderson's, I want to kind of fancy this up a little bit on their name. Let's get it, first of all, let's get it sized up. Let's get it centered left to right. I'll hit the down arrow key on my keyboard to bring it down a little bit. But now I'm going to change up the font on that. Let's get, I'll get the kind of right over the A there. Let's go back in and on the, first of all, we'll just go with a Arial, narrow. Yeah. Maybe not narrow. Let's see. What do we have? Arial. We'll go with just a normal Arial. There we go. And then Anderson's, we'll kind of give that a nice, we'll give that a nice, elegant looking font. All right, let's go ahead and 2 things. I'm going to manipulate this 2 ways. So number 1 is I want to align it to the center, left to right on the material. I want to stretch it out. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and pull it just about like this. I want that E to kind of fall right here. I want to bring this up just a little bit. And then I need my R to not be off the board. So I'm going to convert this to curves. The actual font, I'm going to convert it to curves. I'm going to go into node editing mode. And here I'm going to take these nodes down here, kind of that's extending out, and I'm just going to pull them up. Probably right about there. And turn off our guidelines. And so we use the distort tool to kind of just add that slight little curve to our, our welcome to our home text, right? Just to kind of create that little archway, that little opening for our tagline and things like that. And it just gives us the ability to kind of, hey, John Thompson. I hope you didn't. I hope you're doing well as too. Sorry, I didn't see your message till just now. Sorry that we lost you over at Spindle TV exclusive, but I'm glad to see you here tonight. Hope you're doing well. So for the whole sign now, I'll take this. Oops, let me get out of node editing mode here. The whole sign here, I will just center that on the board. I'd probably put a nice decorative border around it or something like that. But we just, that in that sense is a small, distortion and things. And so, we can have some fun with it. What some of the common distortions that you might be familiar seeing, imagine at racetracks or high school or college or professional football events or sporting events in general and all, you would generally see, let's say, go team. Let's give this kind of I'm going to scroll down to here. And one of the distortions that you would generally see is you would probably see something like, go team, and you would see it on a pendant type flag. So let's come in and turn this 90 degrees. Let's drag this out here. You would generally see maybe kind of, whoa, that was the freehand draw tool, not the rectangle tool. Let's close that one. There we go. But little flagpole. We'll take this and offset it inward. Let's offset it inward a 1/4 of an inch. And then on our go team, you would typically see, if I go in and we will distort the go team, we'll put it in a bounding box, and we will pull this out and in line. Now, I put it in a bounding box, but I'm actually going to use these two lines as the boundary and stuff. But let's just kind of pull this in to here, and something like that. And you would see those kind of sports type banners and things like that, go team, or the Hurricanes or whatever it may be, but that text has been distorted to follow that pendant flag, that design. Now I simply took the bounding box, moved 2 nodes apart to create the wide part of the flag, kept the 2 nodes together in the narrow part of the flag, and then just kind of stretched it, right? So we could see something like that. But I could have also come in and, let's say I undo let me do quite a bit of undos. Quite a bit. Let me get back to the regular text. It probably would have been faster for me to just type the text. I could have come in and opened up. I could have cut the vector here at this end. I could have removed the span, deleted the span at this end. So I have these 2 lines now. And I could have selected the text, held down the shift key, selected the top and bottom line, and I could get my little vectors okay, top curve is okay, bottom curve is okay, my little green check mark, click apply, and it failed to distort that because my lines are touching over here. So one important thing is on the, let me go back into node editing. Give me just a second. Let me close this. We need a little bit of separation on these, on the end here. So it fell to distort because they were literally close together. So there was really nowhere for it to go. Let's try that again. Let's go to our distort tool, select our font, and click apply. Oh, I'm an idiot. First of all, let's try between two lines, not in a bounding box. Give me just a second here. One more time. Select that, select our two lines, and I want to, between two lines, I want to distort that, right? Now, it's backwards. It's saying go team the other way. That's because my start point on the line that I chose first is down here. So I could come in and mirror this horizontally, in this sense, flip it and all. Let's go. Let's go node editing. Let me make this the start point down there. Very good. Make sure your start points are just like a 2-rail sweep in Aspire. If any of you use Aspire, make sure they're following the same way. All right, one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's select this. Hold down the shift key, select this and that, and then distort, right? Now, of course, that's really tight on the M down there, the go team. I wouldn't use that. I think the first way that I did it, where I actually put it in a bounding box and then I stretched it to fit, I prefer that, over this. But this is, also, I'm just showing you that you can do it in a bounding box between two lines with a single line. It doesn't have to be straight lines. They could be curved and things like that. But that's where you would typically, like, out in the real world and stuff, like in an everyday kind of situation where you would see like distortion and all. The one thing that popped in my head was like a flag pendant, like at a sporting event or something like that. You would see that all the time. Now, what I'm going to do is, let's say that I have someone came to me, a school. Let's say a school came to me, and they asked if I would be able to make their plaques for their players for their championship game, their 2024 championship game, and everything. And I take this on, and I'm gonna sit down and I'll lay out a design, and then I'll present it to them to see if they want to make any changes and things like that. So that's going to be the scenario here. All right. So let's go in and let's go into our sheets. Let's go. We'll add a new sheet here. We'll call this our plaque. And we'll edit the size of that plaque. We'll edit the size of that plaque. And let's go 15 inches wide, 18 inches tall, 3/4 of an inch thick. Okay. All right. So, a couple of things that I could do. Let's start out with the basic. Let's get some of the text laid out. So I want kind of a athletic type font. I have a few of those. Let me see here. We'll use Sports World. And then we'll get a couple of words on the screen. So let's get basketball. Let's say it's basketball. Let's get champions on the screen. Let's get 2024 on the screen. And then that'll be kind of the basic start. And then we would have, each of the players' names, and then, something along those lines or what have you. We would probably have the school's name. So let's say that this was Lake We're basketball. Okay. And it's WEIR, and Vectric knew it. Okay. All right. So these are my elements. I'm not going to use the same font for all of them. I'm just kind of taking a look here. And on the font choices, Sports World is okay, but it's a little bit too boxy. The Basketball Champions a little bit too tight. So I'm going to go online, and this is where I turn to dafont.com. Love dafont.com. And it's a place where you can go to get thousands of free fonts for both personal and commercial use. I'm going to use old school as the option. I'm going to type in champions. That'll be my keyword just so I can see what the font looks like. I want 100% free font for both personal and commercial use. And so now I can kind of come through and look at these different fonts and everything and see if there's anything that, stands out to me and all. If there's anything that I really, like and stuff. So one of the things that I see right out of the top here, Sports World I already have. Let's see. There's only 2 pages, so I don't have to scroll through a whole lot to see what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's go back to page 1. We'll grab a couple. So the first one that I want to use is, it's a toss-up. I'm going to go, I'm looking at between these two here. Okay, what? Oh, come on back here now. Oh, all right, hold on a second. I'm losing the blackness. I don't know. That's my screen. I don't know what's going on with it. Give me just a second. All right, let's go to, let's use, I'll download Varsity Team. That'll be one. And then I want one of the hollow. We'll do Emilio here. We'll download that one as well. Emilio 20. All right, let's go ahead and come back into our Vectric software. We'll open up our File Explorer. On the File Explorer, we're going to go into the 2 fonts that we just did, and we're going to extract them. We're going to then right-click on the font file and install it. Okay. Go back and grab the second one. Extract it. And then install. Now, back in versions 9, 10, 11, you know, all the way up to 12, when I install a new font, used to, I would just have to close, if I had the text box open, just close the text box and then reopen it, and that font would be in there. Now, earlier versions, when 12 first came out, you know, whatever it was, 12.03 and all that stuff, closing the text box and reopening it didn't put the font in there. I ended up having to close the whole program. So let's see if we're at 12.008 now, you know, these updates and all. Let's see if they have caught that and if they have fixed that at all. And they have not. So I'm going to come in and go File, Save. I'm going to close the program. I'm going to reopen. I'm going to close out of the program completely. I'm going to reopen. Go back into the project. So Vectric, if you're watching, fix that. Fix that. I want to be able to just close the file or the text box and reopen it and the font file be in there like it used to. All right, so now I can come down and go down to the ease, and that Emilio 20 is there, right? And then my other font was called, the other font was called Varsity Team. So let's take a look at, let's go back into our text box here. Let's go and choose Varsity Team. Okay, yeah, much better looking font for me. All right, now, so let's say I come in and I'm going to break this into individual lines. And let's say that I'm laying out this plaque, right? You know, and again, I'm laying out kind of boring, you know, everyday stuff first, and I want to show you how we can dress it up, right? So let's say that we have Lakewear basketball at the top. Let's size that down. I would probably ask the school for their font file. If they were hiring me to, let me find my close button. If they were hiring me to do the work or something like that, but other than that, I'm sure they would give me carte blanche to do lots of different things. All right, so basketball champions 2024. All right, so let's say that I came in here. We'll take basketball. We'll throw basketball in the distort. I'll throw it in a bounding box. On this bounding box, I'm just going to simply turn the top line into an arc down. I'm going to widen this up. I'm going to take the bottom line and make it an arc also. Pull that up. So I'm kind of arcing the top down and the bottom up, kind of squishing it in there. And so let's say Let's throw that right there. Champions would probably be maybe a different font at this point or something. And let's say that we had in here their rank or their name, their jersey number, something, whatever, you know, fits in here. Now, let's say that this, let's get this centered left to right. Again, let's get this centered left to right. All right. So this would be, not a very, you know, not a very attractive layout. If someone came to me and they're like wanting to make, this is their championship season, this is their, you know, this is something that you know, if they win, these plaques get handed out, kind of thing. There's no participation trophies. So you know, it's got to, you know, it's got to be tight and right. And so if I came back to the school and said, okay, all I need is their names, jersey numbers, and all, we'll fill in the blank there with that. You know, we'll maybe put your school logo in there somewhere. You know, in this case, Lake Ware Hurricanes, you know, it would be a, you know, a hurricane symbol or something, whatever the case may be. And, you know, they're going to be like, okay, one of my freshmen could have done that, right? You know, we came to you because we're looking for something a little bit more. And they're right, you know. So let's take this to the next, to another level. Okay, let's say that. Let's take this to another level versus the level that it's currently at. Okay. And this is why I love the distort tool, to be able to distort things and all. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move this stuff over to the side. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, once again, get our text box up. This time I'm going to go with a standard boxy type font, unless they had this school font that they gave me for the school font logo or something like that. But in this case, I'm just going to go with a nice boxy type font that has a little bit of character to it. We're going to throw it right here on the screen. Now, this one's going to be a little bit of a smaller text. This is going to be their name. So, or the in all capital letters, the Lake Ware basketball. Okay. And font size, I'll get that size down once I'll get it, you know, sized and positioned once I have that where I want it. Now I'm going to come in and let's get this aligned. Well, that's fine. Center, I'll just move it back up where I want it using the up arrow key on the keyboard. I want this to be kind of at the top of the plaque here. I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to kind of create like a little line that the V bit will come in and carve, or whatever the case may be. And I will get that centered left to right on the board. Next, I'm going to take the word champions. This one I will use the varsity type font. So I want and I'm going to go champion. Each of these players, they'll all get their individual plaque. So they'll be the champion, right, for the team. So I'll just not plural. I'll make it singular. And let's go with that varsity team font. Now, we're not, by any means, we are not done with that font at all yet. We'll finish that up in a second. But now I'm going to take and I'm going to draw out a circle. How big the circle? Let's go with an 8-inch diameter circle. That'll be good. I'm going to offset that inward a 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, 1/4 of an inch looks good. I'm going to take a rectangle, and I want the rectangle to be the same 1/4 of an inch as that ring that I just made. So 0.25 inches wide, 8 inches tall. And then I want square corners. Let me go back into that rectangle tool. I want square corners. I want to hold down the shift key. I want to select the outside circle, and I want to align to the center of that outside circle with that rectangle. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to Control C, Control V, copy and paste. There's also icons at the top for copy and paste. Sorry, we can do it in the edit menu there, or we can right click on the screen and do it there as well. And so I'm going to hit the number 0 key twice. So I want one going horizontal there, one going vertical, one going horizontal. I'm going to take my arc tool, and let's say right about here, we're going to snap a line straight across, pull that down just a little bit, about like that. Let's offset that arc 1/4 of an inch. Wonderful. Let's take that there. Let's group that together for a moment. I'm going to take and draw a center line right down the middle right there. It doesn't have to be a long line or anything, just centered there, because I'm going to take this arc. I'm going to hold down the shift key, select that line, and I'm going to mirror that and flip it about the line. All right, and now I'm going to do a little bit of trimming. So let's come in here and trim this away. Get rid of those little overlaps there. Let's come over here and ungroup this. So you can't trim a grouped object. So let me ungroup this one. Let me ungroup that one. All right, go back to our trim tool. Take our scissors and kind of connect that there. We'll connect that there. There. Take this and connect. Trim that. Trim that. Again, get rid of these little overhangs right there. By now, you probably know I'm trying to draw a basketball. Just kind of freewheeling this right now. So I spend a little bit of extra time on it, probably getting it looking tight and right. But this will get me through the class. So let's go here. Take and tighten that up. All right, now we can get rid of this. Oh. Get rid of that. All right, so let's say that I have that there now. And in here, I am going to put the 2024, the year. I'll put that in the middle of the basketball. So let's open up the, we're still not done with the word champion. We're still going to come to that in just a minute. Let's get 2024 happening right there. Let's get that sized up and snap it to the center. Now, on the 2024 here, I don't want the lines of this basketball going through it, right? So I'm going to offset. I'm going to offset these lines outward an 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 16th. Let me see. Let's go a 16th. 0.625. And I am going to take and select that boundary right there. I don't know what's going on. Let me see what's happening up here. All right, close that with a straight line. Close this with a straight line. Okay, I'm going to select this outside boundary, just the outside boundary, not the inside stuff, and I'm going to group that together. So that's going to be my boundary. Now I'm going to take this vector right here, and I need it to be, you know, a closed vector, and I just need it to be around the letters and everything. So basically, depending on what I'm going to do with the carbonyl. So I'm going to select this vector, and then I'll select this boundary, and I want to clear inside. So I'll use the regular trim tool. I'll clear inside the boundary, and it's going to redraw that vector around that boundary. Okay. I'm going to take, once again, this bottom quadrant right here, select the boundary again, clear that one to do the same thing. I'm going to take this left lower quadrant, select the boundary, clear that, and the upper quadrant, select the boundary and clear that. Now that that's done, I can come in and select the boundary and hit delete. I want to just get rid of that. Now, what I would like to see is, I don't necessarily, unless I plan on carving, you know, these pockets out so this is raised, all that looks good, but right here I'd like to actually see it come down and be a little bit even. So the trim did something, but it didn't do everything that I wanted it to do. So first thing I'm going to do is let's fix a few things really quickly. Let's go into node editing. This is where, you know, the devil's in the detail here. Let's come in and let's draw a line straight across here. I'll trim it to whatever size I need in a moment. But I'm going to take on this, I'm going to take and go into node editing mode. I'm going to cut the vector right here. And now I can take the extend tool and hover it over this line. It's going to shoot down to this line here. And so I can actually extend to that line. And then I can come in and bring this. Give me just a moment. Take my scissors. This is going to come down. It's going to come down. Bear with me just a moment. Get rid of that. That's going to come down, and then that's going to connect there. Okay. All right. Here, I'm going to take the scissors, trim that away and that away. Okay, that looks good up there. This is fine. This is fine. I don't need this little divot there, so let me go into node editing mode. Get rid of those 2 points. So I just want to come down around. Same thing here. Get rid of those 2 points. Now, on here, if I select this node first and I hold down the shift key and select this node second, I'm saying that I want to align the second node with the first. And Y is up and down, X is left and right. So if I hit the letter Y on the keyboard, it'll pull that in and everything. And then here I can come in and I'm going to cut the vector there. I'm going to extend this straight across to here. And then I can take the scissors and get rid of all of that. So it just kind of boxes around here. Same thing, same situation here. I'll have it come up into there. So I'll just draw a line straight across here. And if I don't like the way it looks, whoops, if I don't like the way it looks, when it's all said and done, I'll do something different with the basketball. But right now, this is what we're going with. Okay, let's trim that, that, and that. And then up here, we'll just go into node editing mode, delete those 2 points to right there. Okay, the only thing I don't like is this. I'd love to see this come down a little further, but because of where, you know, how the number is and where this is, that's what it's got to look like. So I could bring, if I bring this up to here, I could almost just go right straight across and forget that, but that's okay. I'm spending too much time on that. That's fine. Let's get rid of the box inside the O there. That doesn't belong. Over here, let's go into node editing mode. Let's delete those points there. Okay, so that looks good. And that's it. That's it. All right. Now, now what we're going to do is we're going to take and distort champion. So here we're going to go into the distortion mode. I'm still not done. There's still other drawings and stuff we're going to do here in just a second, but I'm going to take and distort this in a bounding box. I'm going to take the top 2 vectors here and I'm going to stretch them out. I want to kind of keep about the same amount of spacing from here to here to here to here. So, you know, if I need to lay out a guideline, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and let's turn back to transform object on the distort tool because I actually want to just stretch this out a little bit, right? So something about like that. Go back to editing the envelope. I want to take these 2 and I want to bring them down. I'm going to come down to right about there. I'm going to go on this circle here. I'm going to offset outward 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to try to keep that 1/4 of an inch distancing. Okay. And then back to distorting, the distort tool here. I want to insert a point right there. Insert a point here. And then in the middle here, I want the word champion. I want it to, I want to create an arc. I want to kind of pull that arc up here to the top of this offset and all. And what I'd like, let me select this and this. I'm going to move that up and pull that down. No, what am I doing? I'm a goofball. Hold on. Let me put that back. Oh, that. Get rid of that offset. Now, the thing that I would like to do is I would actually like champion I'd like these not to stretch or look skewed sideways like you see here, right? So on the distortion, let me node editing. I'm going to insert a point there. Okay. I actually don't need to insert that point right there. I need to now that I've got this general shape, I'm going to right click. I'm going to convert to curves. That breaks it up into the individual, points here. Before I finish laying this out, let me get the rest of this laid out really quickly. I want a rectangle going across here. I want to line it up with that edge. Line it up with this edge. I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to move it right down to the bottom of that, and then I'm going to space that, relative spacing. I'm going to have it go down 1/8 of an inch, no, 3/16 of an inch. Yep. Control C, Control V to copy and paste. Sorry. Let's try that again. Let me do that again because I moved it. Negative 0.1875. Okay. Control C, Control V. I'm going to move that down. Negative 0.1875. Okay. The offset, I need to put that back in there. And then I'm going to take and offset that. Let's go 3/8. Nope. That's more like, what is it, 1 inch? Yep. All right, now I'm going to freehand size this because I want that circle to come right out to this edge here. Hold down that shift key and bring that out just to that edge right there. Oh man, I missed it. I missed it. Okay. And then I'm going to one more of these Control C, Control V. I'm going to move this down again to snap it to the bottom. And then I'm going to move it down another 3/16 like I did the others. Minus 0.1875. Okay. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim this. between these two lines here, that and that. Bear with me just a second. That one. Okay. Come over to the other side, trim that away. This will be the top of that. So that gets trimmed away. That gets trimmed away. This, and that. Okay, that should be just a nice arc right there at the bottom. All right, now in here, these three rectangles are going to stay exactly like they are. So the offset line, that arc, that gets deleted. That no longer there. And then I'm going to take the scissors, trim, trim, trim. In between those two, trim here. In between those two and there. So that should be 3 individual lines there. Trim there, trim there, and trim. And trim. Okay, now I should be able to just select that vector, that remaining arc, hit delete. Select this line, delete, delete, delete. Get rid of that. Now I could have selected all those lines at one time and deleted them, but all right. So now we have this logo. Now coming back to champions here, I'd like to kind of straighten these the words up a little bit, and I want to give me just a moment. I'm trying to figure out why it leaned those letters in on the top. All right, let me try a real quick, just a different font. I'm going to take the word champion here. I'm going to keep it as it is, but I'm going to move it over. Let me do it one more time. Champion. Oh, well, first of all, let me spell it right. I-O-N. I want to go really quickly. I want to pop back over to the font. And I want to see if there's a skinny one. And there is. Let me see. I want a thin, not too thick and bulky. College. The font's not agreeing with me in my mind. Oh, All-Star. All right, let's download that one. Yeah, that one's decent. Okay. Open the folder. Open the folder. And then I'll answer your questions, everybody. Let me get through this last get the word champions right, and then we'll go in and answer some questions. Extract all, extract. And then right click and install. Minimize that. File save. File exit. Vectric, fix that for me. Reopen. Yeah, used to not have to close the whole entire program when you want to install a new file. You just close the text box and reopen it. So I hope they fix that. Would it be possible to put a wave in the pendant? For sure. Yep. Using the distort tool. Absolutely. Yep. We'll look at that in just a second. Let's go back into here. And that new font was called College. So let's go to the C's. Oh, no, it was All-Star. All-Star, All-Star, All-Star. There we go. Okay. All right, one more time. Let me, I want to bring this out. I want to line it up to this edge here. Okay. All right. Now, what I would like to see happen here, is that when I go into the distort tool, and if I were to distort this using the bounding box, right? The bounding box. And then I come in and insert a point. Right there. And right there. When I turn this into an arc, I'd like to be able to pull that up and it not really skew the letters too much. All right, so that's option one, and it's doing what I want it to do, but it looks a little, I'd like to see this line a little straighter. So let me do one other thing. I'm going to hit undo on that, and I'm going to take and draw two lines. I'm going to draw a line across there, and I want this end of the line I want, why is it not snapping? Man, hold on a second. My snap tool is acting funky. Yeah, so I want that to line up with those edges. I'm going to take that line, hold down the control key, snap it there. Now let's do that one more time, but this time I'm going to hold the control and the alternate key so that it stays on its axis. When I move it straight down, it stays straight down. So the control copies it, alternate keeps it on its axis that I'm moving it on. So I can't, because the first time I moved it, I shifted to the left a little bit. On here, I'm going to, on this bottom line, I'm going to insert a point. I'm going to turn that line into an arc and pull that up. Now I'm going to use the distort tool, but this time I'm going to distort between two lines. So the word champion, select my bottom line first and then my top line, click apply, or between two lines, and then click apply. Okay, regardless of how I do that, it's going to wrap around. That's fine. All right. So no matter what, it's still, I don't know if my eyes or whatever, it looks like the letters are leaning in versus straight. Okay, it is what it is. I don't know. I'm being too picky. All right, let's get rid of those two lines. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to go offset this inward. I'm going to offset it inward 1/8 of an inch. Let's do sharp corners. There we go. I'm going to go into node editing mode. Delete that span on this end. Delete the span on this end. And just for right now, the text is going to say Lake Weir, Florida. Let's go with all right, I'm going to select the distort tool again, select my bottom arc, my first arc, and between two lines. Okay. All right. So now let's say that this was my alternate number 2 here. And then down here, it would have the, the player's name or number, or their number could actually go up in the basketball, and then the date could go down below with their name or whatever, the school logo. the hurricane and all, but this, this is alternate number 2, right? Now, the one thing that needs to be corrected is this needs to be in line with that. Okay. I want to kind of almost look like a championship ring, if you will, with that basketball being the, where the finger goes and all, and everything. So, long story short, I'm not trying to make a design right now, but I want to just give you alternate ways to think. Now, as far as, curving the banner and things like that, putting a wave in a pendant type of situation, let's say that, distort. And of course, it could go the other way around too, where team is wider, where it's like go team, and everything. Either way, we just read from left to right. But so in here, what I could do is turn this into a Bezier curve on both the top and the bottom. And so with that Bezier curve, then I can come in and give this that wave and of course the pendant itself, I could do the same thing. I could distort that triangular object and all to have that same, to follow that same path. So let's go into the distort. Now this is an object instead of the text this time. But same principle applies. Depending on where the flag is, and what size it is or whatever, I probably end up drawing them together and distorting them together instead of separately like that, so they follow the same path and everything. And if I was doing them together, it would look like this. Offset inward. Oh, go team. All right. Let's first of all, we distort the text first. And we're distorting the text to get it to follow the path of the pendant. And then as a whole, the entire pendant would be with the text and everything inside of it. The entire thing would be waved at that point. You know, so it, you know, flows and follows and all. So whoever asked that question, Gene Kilmer. So yeah, so you know, you can have it distort and follow that and all. And I would distort like I just did there, you know, both of them at the same time, so that way they follow the same, you know, that same distortion. Let's see here. We have, if you move the ball down, you wouldn't have to work the H and O as hard. Amazing use of the tools. You remembered also well. So the I get what you're saying. If, let me go back in here and edit the envelope. If I pulled that arc down a little bit, I can also take this and, you know, go one way or the other with it, depending on, you know, what I needed to do. But yeah, so it, I could lower the basketball and then lower the text and all, but we don't need the word go team there. Let's close that. But so I'm just kind of just giving you, you know, the idea of, you know, when it comes to distorting text or, you know, creating something that's, you know, a little bit out of the norm, right? It just adds that little something. You know, most, like, we're carving wood and everything, but if you looked at the topic of text distortions, let's say we Google, you know, they're always showing, you know, Illustrator and different things that, you know, different ways to distort text, to wrap, you know, things and make it look, you know, wiggly or wavy or blurry or whatever the case may be. The things you're doing, and in a sense, in their tools, you know, in the Photoshops and the different Illustrator tools, it's, you know, it's the distortion tool, and there's all kinds of distortion. One of the most famous distortions, that I think everybody could recognize, looks a little something like this. I'm going to use just the word distortion, all capital letters. Distort. Um, okay. So I've got 3 words written. Where they're written is down here. Let me get them over on the board. All right. I've got these 3 words written here, and I'm just going to go with a Arial font on these. Okay. All right. Let's break this up into text blocks. Text break into blocks. The first word, let's get everything centered on the board. Okay. We'll take the first word, distortion. We'll move it up. We're going to make it much smaller. Probably right about there. We'll take the word text. And then we'll take the phrase, change the perspective. All right, now, if I take these 3 objects, and let's take distortion first. I'll go into the distort tool. I'll distort it in a bounding box. I'm going to take the word distortion. I'm going to stretch it just a little bit, but then I'm going to, and let me, first of all, let me draw a rectangle to help me with my layout. I'm going to go into node editing. Let me just put a point right here and here. I'm going to move this in points. Let's go 0.70. 0.7074. Okay. Looks weird right now, but it'll make sense in about 2 seconds. All right, let's come in here and take the word distortion. I'm going to go into the distort tool. I'm going to take this node and move it out to here. This one to move it out to here. I'm going to take the word text. Throw that in a bounding box. I'm going to move the top node of text here and there. And then on the change your perspective, I'm actually going to distort that one. In a bounding box, but this time $1739. 1.1739, enter. Let me move that down a click or two. Okay, so you might not recognize this unless it said in a galaxy far, far away, blah, 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 blah. You know, the Star Wars, that text that's running across the screen. It looks like it's kind of flying away and everything at you. By distorting the text, the close-up text here, the bottom is brought in, the bottom angle is brought in slightly, you know, like it's kind of traveling up here. And then this other text is kind of stretching out, but it's getting smaller. The further out that it goes, it gets smaller at the top and everything. So it starts to come angle in. And then the text that's beyond that, you know, is smaller, and it also is angling in kind of that same path, you know. So it just gives that illusion. I don't know how well it comes up on television, but it just gives that illusion of the text is kind of falling away, right? So that's distortion. That's what we're doing. And that's, you know, that's the way that we can kind of give that, you know, just give a little bit of character, a little bit of body to, you know, different things and all. And like I said, if you were to, you know, look up distortion, you would see, you know, a lot of the different, you know, examples of distorting text, and most of it's blurriness and all that. But here's a classic example. The way that the word volunteers kind of wraps around the t-shirt with the word basketball, you know, underneath it, you know, following that and everything. The example text here, the same thing, that distortion, right? When we are looking at, like, if I were to, if we were looking at, let's say, this Palma Grove project, right? You see the Palma is, you know, triangular, angled in one way or the other, and everything. So let's take something like that, a scenario like that. Imagine, if you will, that I came in and I'm going to use, let's go down to my Royal Signage font. And let's call this Rack Room. Let's try that again. Okay. Let's size that up. Now, on the rack room here, I'm going to draw out a rectangle, kind of representing the outside boundary of this particular font here and all. So let's go that, and then let's snap that to there. Bring that into something about like that. Bring this down to here. So this is just kind of, just imagine it being like an outside, you know, just kind of a boundary, just showing the boundary and all. Now, I would like to have, if I were to draw a line here, I'd like to have this angle up to, let's say, here, and everything. So I could take, on rack room, I want to keep the R straight as it is, but I want the ACKROOM to angle up. Now, number one, I could, you know, convert to curves, right? So I'll convert it to curves first, so that breaks it up. And then I can deselect the R, and the rest of this I can go ahead and distort in that bounding box. And first of all, let me let me get out of node editing mode. Almost there. There we go. Let me put that in a bounding box. So just the rack room here. And I want to keep this kind of in line, but I just want to move this up to follow this path right here. Okay. So I want this to stay kind of in line, but I want it to follow this path. So that angle there. And then I can get rid of kind of this box layout, if you will, and that line there. And then I will come in here and let's size that down. Now, I want billiards not to be, I want that to be a different font. Let me go back in there really quickly. I don't want it to be the royal signage. Let's go with a Cambria. There we go. Size that down. Now, I could come in and, there would be a flourish in here, in between here. There'd be a flourish coming around and all to give that, some detail and stuff. And in all to kind of like to fill in this area right here, there'd be some kind of decorative flourish that comes around, and then whatever it may be, right? So, but that distortion, taking that text and being able to just kind of shift it up, to angle it up and everything, it changes things for me. It changes the ability, it kind of gives me the ability to be a little bit more creative. One of my favorite inspirations, and this will be the last thing I say about it, is I like to type in country wood signs on Google. And when I am looking at the results and things, I like to see what my inspiration is not the sign and what the sign says and all, but it's the way, the creativity in the layout, the way they use fonts, the way they distort those fonts, flourishes that they add and things like that. The combination of different fonts and everything. That's what I look at. And so a form of distortion, like if we look at this sign, similar to the welcome to our home sign we did earlier, you see begin each day, and they have that nice arch at the bottom, and then the word with is kind of in that arch area, and then straight across under there a grateful heart, right? So that's that form of distortion. Just beyond, just a simple curved text, was there's nothing wrong with and everything. It just gives the ability to just kind of, I don't know what the what the best way of saying it is, but it kind of gives the ability to have a little fun with it. And I love, like I said, Countrywood Signs. I just typed that in for the simple fact of I just like I like to look at the layouts and the way things lay out and things like that, the way they distort stuff. The combination of fonts, scripty type fonts and regular type fonts, the way that the way that the fonts play together with the, whether they're the same or they're, a different, font and things, the way text might curve or flow, or what have you with things. And another thing, believe it or not, another thing that I like to look at is like example sports stuff. So like if I said like we did champion basketball, right? So if I said basketball champion vector, let's use the word logo vector, basketball champion logo vector, and we look at these things and all, we can see, how they use the distort tool. So in this case, they have the basketball, they've got it kind of distorted where there's that arc underneath here, and then a little arc up there, but then they also did offset and they changed that arc. Instead of a curve, they have those straight rigid lines going across, basically it's an offset of the font of the text and everything. If we look at, something like this, how they have the basketball and then champions underneath, and champions just has a simple arch under the bottom. If we look at, champion, basketball or whatever, how it's kind of maybe at an angle and things, or the way they have just the word champions being an arc. So there's all kinds of, cool layout type things where text distortion, text distortion really comes into play to really make it like pop, like wow. And all this is the simple, this logo right here is text distortion. It's distorted. Your text has that bottom curve and that upper curve and everything, that flow. So the logos for teams is also in there. But then what gives it that, what makes it look like it's like, stepping out there is on the bottom side, they have these rectangles drawn, these variety of these rectangles coming off all the corner points of the letters, looking like the letters are extruding out. And all it is simple rectangles. And then the angles, they're following that angle, and kind of just bringing it in. And now they've taken this simple curved text and they made it look like not only is it curved, but it pops out. And when you V carve that, all the black areas in this would get carved away. All the orange and other things, those are the areas that are raised up. But you have that same, or you can take that simple arc text and really make it like explode. And when it carves, it would, you would have, once you added the color and context to it and everything, you would have that look to it. But I love looking at things like this, no rhyme or reason or anything, but the way that they use the layout, the distortion, there are so many, different ways where the basketball text is curved up, where it's got a curve on the bottom and on the top, where it goes at an angle. There's all kinds of just that one simple research and all. And again, I'm looking at it for the inspiration of how they're distorting. What are some ways that they're really making things pop? Not necessarily, what they're using, for the flourishes and all, but what are they doing with the text, and everything? What's happening? What's going on with the text? beyond just a simple curve or beyond a simple uh, um, uh, arch, or or being straight. This particular one, they have the top edges here coming in. So the bottom is splayed out, the top is coming in there. Now, you can't work, you got to think of a bounding box, right? So think of a rectangle. If we were looking at this basketball sample here, think of a rectangle. Forget the little ends and arches here. This is just their outline following the offset of that particular font, right? So, but on a box, if this was a rectangle, the upper nodes on that rectangle, that bounding box, the upper nodes are in slightly, the outer nodes are out slightly, giving the kind of like that, it's pulling the bottom out, pushing the top in. And then from there, once they have that, then they're doing an offset of their text, and then they're kind of tightening up the lines and stuff to get, that nice rigid outline and everything around it. But it all starts when they're doing something like this 3-and-3 basketball tournament. The word basketball just has a simple arch on the top, and that's literally like if I took the word, we'll do the same thing in basketball. Let's go right here. Basketball. Let's get up close and personal on it. Let's get it on here. If I distort this in a bounding box, literally, if I come in this top dotted line here, if I right click on that top dotted line and I turn that to an arc, and then of course pull the arc down to a reasonable, looking arc and all, but I'm literally just arcing, the top of that text, right? Or I'm in there and I'm, I might be arcing it this way and then taking these bottom nodes, maybe stretching it a little bit and then turning that bottom line into an arc and then pulling that up. So like a bow tie, if you will. So I can take these two and, pull that up, bring the center arc down. And now I'm kind of creating that bow tie effect, right? I'm distorting it in that direction. I could keep the top straight across and just arc the bottom, right? I could insert multiple points. I could make the bottom, instead of an arc, I can make it a Bezier curve to where it has kind of this flow and everything, where the top stays across. Where the top stays across, but the bottom has, just a little bit of a flow to it, right? Whatever it may be. I'm just, spitballing a bunch of different examples and all, but we have that ability to really come up with some very cool things. And looking online for inspiration and seeing what others are doing as far as, how they're playing with their fonts, how they're playing with their design, how they're playing with the layout or, distortions or anything, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be distortion, but that's the tool we're talking about tonight. It just opens up a lot. It opens up a lot of possibilities and things. So I'm hoping that this give you something to think about, right? That's, kind of the goal. But I'm hoping that it gives you something to think about, when it comes to layout, or when it comes to, perspective and adjusting, adding a little bit of character to even something as simple as where your words are straight, but one word has a little bit of distortion to it in some way. you know, kind of a layout like this isn't actually a bad layout. You know what I mean? You know, but just something fun, right? Not necessarily fun, but, you know, just something creative and stuff, depending on what it is that you're doing and all. So I hope this class, we're going to end it here. 2 hours is long enough for this topic, but I hope this kind of just, you know, the tool's there. You might use it every day. You might not have never used it up to this point. You might have used it a couple times, but hopefully this gives you the opportunity to know a little bit more about that tool, the Distort tool, and also give it a second look or even a third look to, you know, change up and really open the floodgates of creativity in your signs. You know, just give them just something a little bit different than what you've been doing in the past, kind of thing, you know. And who knows, you know, who knows what it does for you or what it could do for you. But I just wanted to introduce that tool to the ones that have never really used it or paid attention to it. And then also just kind of give a little bit of my insider thoughts or the way I look at approaching things and stuff, and kind of share a little bit of that with you and see if it tickles your fancy. All right. Well, everybody, you're welcome, Roger. Ronnie, thanks for that. And yes, hit the likes button. Guys, you want to know something? Let me say this. I want to close out with this really quickly. You know, I was looking at today, I went to YouTube, youtube.com. And I need your help. If you like a video, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. If you think it's something that one of your other CNC buddies and all might, you know, that they might not have been able to see it, but you want to kind of say, hey, Laney had this class or whatever, share that video and all. The reason being is when I type in Vectric tutorial, just the generic word Vectric tutorial, and I come down, you know, we have Mark Lindsay, we have Garrett Frome, we have Vectric, we have Chris Powell, we have Learn Your CNC and everything. And I could go through pages and pages and pages and pages and pages, and you will not see a Spindle TV video. So I gotta go back and I gotta change my SEO, you know, my keywords and all that stuff. But I sat here today and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling, and there's not a single Spindle TV video anywhere in sight. Not a single one. And that's something. Now, if I type in CNC projects, just as an example, you'll see it, you know, actual, you know, people on their CNC, you know, showing different things that they're carving and stuff like that. But, you know, and the things that, you know, is being made and all, you'll see a couple of tutorials. It's not really, CNC projects is not the key term for like training videos. If I did CNC training, right, and everything, you know, you get things like become a machinist and all that. So again, not the right keyword and all that. But Vectric training, right? Again, learn your CNC. You've got Kyle there, Garrett Frome, Vectric themselves, cutting it loose. Not a Spindle TV video anywhere. So no wonder, you know. So hit that like button, please. if like people that, that are kind of that you on Facebook, whatever, share the video. Anything helps, right? Everything helps and all, because if people are searching for Vectric training, or they're searching for Vectric tutorials, or they're searching for this and searching for that, and my videos aren't coming up, then I'm not getting any views. And if I'm not getting any views, I'm going broke. I'm gonna be looking for Garrett for a job or something. So it's crazy. So I need to go back and add some SEO, of course, or something. I need to change up my keywords and all. But yeah, I feel that I provide some very knowledgeable training on the Vectric software and everything, and I feel that I should pop up in a Vectric training search somewhere. So me and YouTube are going to have a deep dive. I'm going to go through and see what I need to change in my video descriptions and all that stuff, and really kind of like step up that SEO. So Spindle TV is everywhere, right? I want to see Spindle TV all over the place. But I thought that was interesting. I want to share that with you. So whatever, anytime you like, anytime you share, it really helps out. It really, really does help out the channel. So be sure to give a thumbs up if you found anything interesting in tonight's class, or any class in the, in the past and stuff like that. All right. Yeah, I'm dirted by Google. That's it. And yes, Wade, website promotion is so frustrating. It is. It really is. And SEO is important, and, keywords, and, when they all, I've gotta master the algorithm, right? Figure out what the algorithm's looking for when it's pulling these videos to make them their top choices on search results and stuff. And I've never been really a master at that. Might hire somebody to do my SEO, but hashtags help. Yep, in the description. So I might have to hire someone to help me with that. But yeah, so likes, thumbs ups, and likes and shares help out also too. All right, everybody, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for hanging out with me this last few minutes for me to show you what my woes are. But hopefully you got something out of tonight's class, or any class that I teach. Next Thursday night, 8 o'clock, same time, same channel. We'll be here again. Do y'all remember, really quickly, let me stick with me 2 seconds. Do y'all remember last week's class, or the week before last, when we did the texturing class, right? I would like to share with you a project that I made recently, where I used that texturing, and I'd like to share it with you. So recently I was commissioned to make an urn, I used maple and cherry. So I had a piece of spalted maple, and that ended up being the base. And then this urn had an Asian style to it, pagoda style roof. On the sides, it was ordained with, this was kind of like a bamboo pagoda style roof that was 3D modeled in Vectric Aspire. But the sides of it, the models of the dragons, those were purchased off of Etsy, and everything. And but that texturing, that web texturing in the background, that black texturing you see there, that was kind of wrapped around the entire, on all the pieces of the urn, right? And so I wanted to show you, because we had that class, and the Spindle TV exclusive members, the paid members and everything, we have a class every Wednesday night. and we went and our class, we had a class on making that pagoda roof and stuff like that. If you're interested in anything like that, I do have a membership subscription, gold and silver memberships on Spindle TV on the YouTube channel, where we have members get exclusive access to private classes. They get discounts on purchases, and everything. But I wanted to just share with you. That project, or a project that I just made recently, literally last week, using the techniques that I'm actually teaching you, those textures and things like that, and all. So so it turned out to be kind of an interesting project. It was an urn for a young man who passed away, who loved Japanese anime and everything, and so they wanted kind of a little bit of a Japanese paradise for his final resting place. All right. Well, listen, everybody, I want to thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for. I wanted to show you how that texture came out. That texture class and stuff. When I teach you things, I actually use them. I don't just throw out a bunch of information. I use this stuff every day that I kind of pass along to you and everything. So hopefully you're getting something out of it as well. But thanks for hanging out with me this late, and y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll catch you next Thursday at 8 o'clock. All right. See ya.